Today we're taking a look at patch 13.9 a week on and seeing how the champions buffed or changed have affected the tier list this week. Now we're going to jump straight into the video, and as always we're going to start off with that top lane. In the God tier we still have Ornn and Poppy. In the S tier we have Singed, Kled, Rengar, Akshan, Riven, Zac, Maokai, Olaf, Jax and Shen. Still plenty of choice for all you top lane mates. So Aatrox moved up from B to A after his buffs last week made a big enough difference for him to return more consistently. Aatrox is one of those champions you never really want to underestimate, because when you go against a good one, you quickly understand just how strong he can be in the right hands. He has a ton of consistent damage, an amazing ability to 1v2 or even 1v3 if he gets the ball rolling. Aatrox is not necessarily broken like you may have seen him in the past, but if he does get a bit fed early, be careful. Kael's changes were pretty significant, and they've also seen a slight improvement of her performance this week. We moved her up in anticipation to the A tier last week, and this is the best spot for her right now. Kael still shares the same strengths as she's always had, a punishable early game and a devastating ability to 1v9 at level 16 onwards. So if you enjoy Kael and love that turbo carry late game playstyle, crack on. Rengar top is still winning a ton of games at the moment too, especially so at higher ranks. He's got so much early game damage, a ton of mobility in those lane brushes, and so much to offer in his kit with the W healing and cleanse, the ECC, and of course his roaming impact with that ultimate too. Rengar top is just so scary if you go against a good one. He can kill you super early and super often, and if you do disrespect him, he'll take out both you and your jungler and humiliate you at the same time. If you enjoy playing the cat in the lane rather than in the jungle, now is the best time to abuse it. Moving down to the jungle now, and in the S tier we have Fiddlesticks, Jarvan, Kha'Zix, Gragas, Evelynn, Hecarim and Echo. And Amumu, Master Yi and Bel'Veth also move up there this week to join them. Amumu's buffs have made a massive difference this week, and this seems to happen fairly often with this champion. Every time he gets buffed, he seems to shoot straight back up again and win a ridiculous amount of games. Amumu just offers the easiest jungle clear in the game alongside some ridiculously strong ganks. If you miss your first Q, fire out the second, or just get amongst your enemies and pop that flash ultimate. From early dragon teamfight domination to late game 1v9 engages, you really can carry games with this little crybaby. So if you haven't been playing him already this week, here's a reminder, he's pretty damn strong. Trundle is also a big winner from patch 13.9's changes, as his win rate has shot up by almost 3%. The Troll is a super scary jungler to come up against, and he has so much early game damage and map mobility, making him a great duelist and also brilliant at taking down those objectives quickly. You can tear through camps easily, amass some serious farm, fight anyone anywhere at any chance you get, and work towards a soul faster than anyone else in the game. Plus you've also got his ultimate too, which can basically remove tanks from the game altogether. Trundle is super easy to play and learn too, so whichever rank you are, you should absolutely consider picking him up this patch. Master Yi is truly having the time of his life at the moment, even boasting a crazy high win rate in Challenger of all places. Honestly though, whatever rank you are, Master Yi is a complete menace to come up against, and if the enemy team lack the CC to shut him down, the game is going to be completely unplayable for them. Yi probably has more pentakills than any other champion, and all it takes is just one good fight to pop off and clean up an entire enemy team. If you pick Master Yi alongside enchanters and enablers on your team, you're going to feel like you're cheating. It is genuinely freelo, so if you aren't playing him, he could be a great option to ban him if not this week. Well, let's move down to the mid lane now, and in the God tier we have Akshan and Annie. In the S tier we have Aurelion Sol, Anivia, Cassiopeia, Ahri, Fizz, Pantheon, Talon and Swain. Yes, Swain saw some pretty tasty improvements after his buffs last week, and now he's showing everyone just how good he can actually be. He's solid in lane with his poke and catch, he can set up ganks with his E super easily, and once he gets that ultimate, he can feel a little bit immortal. Genuinely, Swain's ultimate makes him the king of extended fights, whether it's a 2v2 with your jungler or an intense early dragon fight. You can stay alive for days, dish out tons of damage, and heal loads off too, making you insanely hard to shut down. Swain also scales pretty well into games and has huge power spikes in that mid game where he can feel impossible to kill. So if you haven't tried Swain yet, give him a go. The Neeko rework has been so much fun since it's dropped, and it's been hilarious being able to disguise yourself as a minion, wander into a lane, and one-shot someone on repeat. However, she's actually not too settled just yet, and not really winning that many games. I'm sure once the dust settles and people figure out the optimal way to play her, she'll be a fantastic choice. But she may just need a little bit of a buff to make her a tad bit more consistent. If you are enjoying Neeko though, don't hesitate to keep playing her. Just make sure you utilize her strengths with that surprise factor and keep catching enemies off guard, because this is by far what she does best right now. Be creative, change it up, and keep unpredictable. And before you know it, 1 second you're a control ward, and the next second you set up the perfect 5-man ultimate. GG, well played. If you do want to stay up to date with which Nico builds and runes are the best options to go for, then download Mobalytics and check out our desktop app. There you'll find everything you need to stay on top and make sure you're playing the best options every single time. Ahri is back to winning ways after climbing back to her best over recent weeks. She's just such a versatile champion to play in that mid lane, and you can adopt a different playstyle in any given game. If you've got a good matchup, you can play aggressively and punish them so hard with your mobility, burst and catch. If you're in a bit of a rough lane, you can roam and gank other lanes, or in a combination of the two, you can clear waves and play around your jungler. Ahri offers so much throughout games, and that mobility goes hand in hand with her damage to make her such a dream to play once you get a bit too far ahead. So give her a try. Down to those AD carries now, and in the S tier we have Twitch, Jinx, Karthus, Jhin, Seraphine and Ezreal. Yes, you heard me correctly, Ezreal is back in the S tier, and you just know he's strong when his win rate is above 50%. Ezreal takes a lot of practice to play well and consistently, as he is basically 90% skill shot based. But at the moment he has a variety of builds from the usual to the unusual, with even Jaxo being built as his mythic option. Ezreal is just so much fun to play, and you can pretty much pick him every single game because of the safety of his E. Yes, there are some pretty difficult matchups against heavy duelist marksmen like Vayne or Kai'Sa, but there's always a way to get through those lanes and still do your thing once you get your power spikes. If you've got what it takes and the skills to pull him off consistently, keep playing Ezreal. Jinx's nerfs were enough to bring her out of the god tier, but not quite enough to displace her from the S tier, and she's still easily one of the best AD carries in the game. Jinx just scales like nothing else right now, with her immense AoE damage and teamfights from a pretty long distance too. She's got explosive burst damage with her W and her ultimate, but such relentless and consistent DPS across the board too. You can pick Jinx with tanky, crowd controlling aggressive supports, but she also thrives alongside enchanters too. So whatever comp, whatever support you get, you can pick Jinx nearly every time and always have that same chance to 1v9. Speaking of 1v9ing, Kog'Maw takes a bit more of a specific comp and draft to thrive in, but if you get him in the right one, he can be a better option than any other AD carry. His ability to shred down all types of enemy targets is by far his strongest trait. It doesn't matter what you come up against, because if you get to that mid to late game without being too far behind and you've got a Lulu in your pocket, you can melt entire teams in seconds. If your enemies don't have too much reliable CC, you will punish them time and time again on this champion. So if you haven't really considered trying Kog'Maw again recently, here's a reminder to pick him up again. Finally, let's have a look at those supports then, and in the S tier we have Senna, Rakan, Melio, Janna, Thresh and Pyke, and Annie, Maokai and Amumu bounce back up there too. Maokai's support has been pretty solid for a while to be honest, and people do keep forgetting about him. He's honestly a top pick in 3 different roles right now, and his support win rate is a bit mind-blowing. Maokai's reliable CC makes him so good in early 2v2s, and his gank setup is a dream for any jungler. He scales into the game very well too with his initiation and disruption, and he's just a great pick with almost any team comp. So if you enjoy sponging tons of damage, flash engaging every second you can, and carrying games with super hard crowd control, you just can't go wrong with Maokai. Rakan is still up there with the best supports, and he's been having a blast all season with his insane mobility, engage and utility. From early all-ins in lane with his W to slipping and sliding around teamfights, locking down everybody in his path. There really is so much you can do and achieve on Rakan, and you'll have a lot of fun whilst doing it. Thresh has always been a support with such an amazing ceiling and potential, and this season he's definitely living up to it. If you can land those hooks consistently, you can carry any fight from as early as the lane phase to the big late game teamfights. You've got flays for all situations, lanterns to save the day, and plenty of disengage with your ultimate too. And if you can really utilize all of his kits on a regular basis, you're going to win so many games this patch. Thresh is pickable with so many different lane partners and against most matchups too, so you can't really go too far wrong with it. Well, unless you miss every hook of course. And on that note, that's going to bring us to the end of our quick patch 13.9 updated tier list video for you. We hope you enjoyed it, and don't forget to download Mobalytics and check out all the best builds, runes, matchups, counters, combos, and so much more free content. We'll see you all next week guys for the spicy patch 13.10 and all it has to offer. Thank you for watching and take care.